Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Weather Sim forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be talking about a huge change that's going to be coming to the United States over the next few weeks. And this is going to be an unusual one, as not only are we going to start seeing more cold fronts and perhaps even some snowstorms roll on through, but some of these storms could even bring some more severe weather as we are still in severe weather season, technically the second severe weather season, I should say. So that is something that we're really going to need to watch for over the next few weeks, as we're going to have potentially several storms roll on through, not only bringing those chances for winter storms, especially on the northern side, but also those chances for potentially a few severe storms, and that will be something to really be watching for, as it is a little bit unusual to see that this time of year. Now, before we get to that, I do want to point out, I apologize for not being able to cover this, but I just thought I would remind you guys about Hurricane Melissa when it made landfall in Jamaica. You guys can see that just down here it had hurricane force winds of 185 miles per hour, and that was as low as 892 millibars, which is really powerful considering that it actually made landfall at that strength. And it's crazy because we never even saw a hurricane make landfall at that strength before, and that's why Hurricane Melissa turned out to be a historic one. Now, thankfully, this impacted a different area. If it would have impacted the United States, this would have been a completely different situation, in my opinion, and this would have probably been the worst hurricane to make landfall in the United States if it were to happen. So that's why I'm glad it impacted a different area. But still, we're definitely praying for those in Jamaica, Cuba, Bermuda, and even up there towards Iceland, as Hurricane Melissa is still actually ongoing up there. You probably won't be able to see it on the National Hurricane Center map since it already gotten too far north to cover it, but I just thought I would let you guys know about that, since this actually caused over 67 fatalities, over 45 injuries, and still 21 plus are still missing, and damage is still unknown. So that's why we can't really say that we can't really say exactly if this was like the hurricane to cause the most damage, but it was definitely, once again, the worst hurricane to make landfall in terms of strength, because we never seen a hurricane make landfall at that strength before. Now, let's get into the real forecast by first talking about the weather pattern. Like I said, I apologize for not being able to cover that stuff that happened. That was really historic over a few weeks ago, but I would like to tell you guys that we are going to continue to see a very active weather pattern with just storm after storm after storm. You can see that we're already starting to see this low head out over there across the East Coast, and that low is going to continue. We will actually have another low that develops by the time we head into Thursday this week, where we could potentially be seeing some rain showers, potentially heavy at times, along with even some snowfall in the higher elevations, which is possible. And then after that, here's where it starts to get concerning, because like I said, we will be tracking snowfall on the northern side of the system, but we also could be talking about severe weather on the southern side of this system too. So you guys can see that we're talking about snowfall to the north, along with potentially even some rainfall down here in the south too. So that is definitely something that we're really gonna need to watch very closely, since it does look like it's gonna be a powerful system overall. So that definitely make sure you guys are watching that closely. And then after that system heads out, you guys can see that we will be tracking another one right behind it, which doesn't look to be nearly as big, I don't think, but it will still bring some showers and thunderstorms down here across the deep south, and then even some snowfall up there to the north, and it won't be as strong to start, but you guys can see that as it moves eastward, it actually will strengthen quite a bit, and like I said, that will definitely be one of the systems to continue to watch closely for, as it could potentially even bring some severe weather, so definitely make sure you guys are paying attention to that. And then after that heads out, you guys can see how we continue to see more of these same storms roll on through. Once again, a lot of these systems will have snow on the northern side, and a lot of these systems will have severe weather and potentially some heavy rainfall on the southern side. Now, just for comparison with the GFS model, I just wanted to show you guys that the GFS model is a little bit more aggressive, especially since it actually wants to show one of those storms producing a winter storm rather than snowfall up north and rainfall down south, and that is possible, especially as we head into Sunday. Like we're only talking 6-7 days out from now, guys, and there's already a winter storm popping up for the southern Great Lakes, including northern Indiana and Michigan, and so that's exactly why winter could potentially be here earlier than usual for some. And then you guys can see how we start to see the cold air roll on through again, potentially still producing some isolated snow showers around before we actually start to get another big time storm system in here too. Which, look at this one. This one is looking like a big one with snowfall across the northern and western side, and then along with some rainfall potentially as far down south as the Gulf, which is major. That is a major storm right there, and in my opinion, I would probably even consider that a bomb cyclone given its pressure of 977 millibars, which would be equal to a category 1, category 2 hurricane, which is very, very strong for a low pressure system here in the United States. Now, let's look at our temperatures. I know I probably pointed that out a little bit when we were looking at the storm forecast, but you guys can see that right now we're still dealing with slightly below average temperatures over there in the east, but you guys can see that by the time we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe even continuing into Sunday, we just continue to see that warm air roll on through, and you guys can see that areas like the Great Lakes will be below average. And that's why that system, once again, is still a little bit questionable, because the GFS model shows rainfall on the southern side, which makes sense because we're going to be above normal, and like I said, we're talking about Sunday, but it does show cold on the northern side, bringing maybe, like I said, that winter storm for areas like Indiana, Michigan, and maybe even over there. Excuse me. And maybe even up there into Ohio once again, so definitely make sure you guys are ready for that. And then after that, you guys can see that we do see that cold air continue to push on in almost immediately after that warm air rolls on out, so that's why we are going to continue to watch this very closely over the next several days before we just warm up almost dramatically again and get another cold front right behind it. Now, long range shows above normal temperatures out west from November 11th all the way to, November 8th, I should say, all the way through the 12th, with slightly below normal temperatures across the Great Lakes. And you guys can see that when we look a little farther out from November 10th all the way through the 16th, shows above normal temperatures across the central United States and perhaps parts there of the east, with below normal temperatures for areas of New England. And then for precipitation, you can see we will likely be a little bit drier during the 6 to 10 day outlook, but you can see that during the 8 to 14 day outlook, which once again, that's from about November 10th all the way through the 16th, we could potentially be trending a little bit above normal for areas like the Midwest, while well above normal precipitation appears likely for areas over there in the east. The last thing I want to go over is precipitation and snowfall, just so that way you guys have a good idea about what to expect from now all the way through November 15th. So we're pretty much looking out for the next 7 to 10 days, maybe even up to 12 days. And you guys can see that we are looking at heavy precipitation out west, along with some rain, even some thunderstorms over here in the east, since we are looking at localized areas of heavy rain. So definitely make sure you guys are ready for that, especially as we head into the end of this week and even next week. And then for snowfall, we're looking from about now, here I'll go a little bit farther out, all the way to November 15th. You guys can see that it does want to show once again that winter storm for areas of northern Indiana. And it's crazy because look at that, it shows up to 7 inches of snow across that area just by that one winter storm that I showed you here. And I'll go back so that way you guys can see. It's this one right here, because look at that. That is very strong, and I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't trying to get a sounding on there to show up, but you guys can see once again when we zoom in, it's just looking like a very, very strong winter storm with very heavy snowfall, especially since we're actually seeing some areas of pink show up. So that's why we could be talking about more snowfall than usual for those areas. And look at that, maybe even several feet of snowfall for areas of New England and even over there across the Rocky Mountains. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we will continue to keep you guys up to date with the latest, especially since we are really looking at a very active pattern. I do not know that there's much more to talk about than us just seeing storm after storm after storm. So like I said, we will definitely need to be watching each of them, as I do think each of them will be very similar. Like I said, severe weather on the southern side, heavy snowfall on the northern side, and like I said, one of those might even be a winter storm for areas of the northern Ohio Valley. So we recommend you guys get prepared for winter right now, even if you live as far down south as the Ohio Valley. So make sure you guys are ready for that. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday out there, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.